Hi there. Welcome to Learn English Every Day.
Here, you'll hear slow, clear English to help you learn with ease.
Let's begin.
I want you to think about a very specific type of modern exhaustion.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, it's that feeling that hits right when you open your inbox.
Right.
Or, you check your phone and you are just immediately buried under an avalanche of promotional emails.
Alerts, notifications, the endless terms of service updates.
Exactly. Just pure daily bureaucratic friction. Have you ever looked at that massive digital pileup and felt the urge to just drop down to the floor,
Completely give up.
lay completely still, and basically just play dead?
Honestly, yes. Multiple times a week.
Right. Just to escape the sheer volume of it all. If that instinct sounds familiar to you, you're actually tapping into a very real psychological response to digital fatigue.
It's a survival instinct, really.
It is, and today we're jumping into a deep dive on exactly that. Welcome to the show, by the way. I'm your host.
And I'm the resident expert here to help break it all down.
We've got a great one today. We're looking at a translated transcript from a TED Talk by James Vitchett.
It's called The Agony of Trying to Unsubscribe.
Such a great title. And it functions as this highly strategic look at how to take one of the most universally irritating experiences of modern digital life,
The spam email.
the relentless spam email, and turn it into this exercise in reclaiming your own cognitive space.
Reclaiming your sanity, essentially.
Yes. Our mission today is to explore how leaning into the absolute absurdity of information overload isn't just some party trick.
Right, it's a framework.
A necessary framework for protecting your sanity against these massive systems that are literally designed to extract your attention.
It's so true.
So, okay, let's unpack this, because the narrative here operates on a few different levels.
It really operates on a deeply psychological level right from the jump.
Yeah, tell them about the opening.
So the speaker opens with this childhood anecdote that just perfectly physicalizes that feeling of being completely overwhelmed.
It's so funny.
He talks about this coping mechanism he developed as a kid, which, by the way, he didn't even remember until his mom brought it up years later.
Which makes it even better.
Right. Whenever they would drive somewhere, the exact moment his mother parked the car, turned off the engine, and stepped out to open his door.
He'd just be gone.
He was already gone. He would slide out of his seat, drop onto the pavement, and just lie there.
Motionless.
Completely motionless. Playing dead.
And he did this just because he was bored.
Bored or confused by whatever was happening. Playing dead was literally his way of opting out of a reality he just didn't want to engage with.
It's such a striking image, isn't it? A kid just physically removing himself from a situation by pretending he doesn't exist.
The ultimate freeze response.
Exactly. But he uses that specific childhood story as a direct metaphor for how we interact with the modern internet.
And it fits perfectly.
It really does. There's this highly observant quote in the source material that basically anchors his whole argument.
Oh, the one about access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He points out how we are always talking about living in this age of information overload, but the reality of the actual architecture of the internet is much more invasive than just, having a lot of data available.
It's a two-way street.
He says, and I quote, "The internet gives us access to everything, but also gives everything access to us."
And that asymmetry is the defining characteristic of the modern attention economy.
Yes. Unpack that word for a second, asymmetry.
Well, the initial promise of the digital age was that we would be the active seekers. Right.
We go to the internet to find things.
Exactly. But the infrastructure evolved so fast into a push model. We basically traded the convenience of being connected for the reality of giving marketers, apps, huge corporations.
Unmitigated access.
Completely unmitigated access to our private spaces.
Yeah.
Our inboxes basically became unzoned commercial real estate.
Anyone can just set up shop in your inbox.
Right. And this is where the primary conflict of the whole source material kicks off. The speaker details his experience with this incredibly aggressive email campaign from a supermarket chain.
Which he calls Safe Market.
Yeah, pseudonymously named Safe Market for obvious legal reasons.
So Safe Market is opening a new location at King's Cross.
Big news.
Huge news, apparently, because the corporate marketing algorithm decides that this guy absolutely must be kept aggressively informed.
Naturally.
He gets an email announcing 3 weeks until opening at King's Cross.
And he notes two very distinct frustrations with this.
First of all, he has zero recollection of ever opting into this mailing list.
Which is such a common symptom of how companies bundle our data permissions now.
You buy one thing, you're on the list forever. And the second frustration is just the sheer presumption of it.
The audacity.
The audacity that an ordinary citizen would require a multi-week, dramatic countdown for a grocery store opening.
It's a supermarket, not the Olympics.
Right. So he takes the standard route. He scrolls all the way past the massive promotional graphics.
Down to the microscopic print at the bottom.
Finds that tiny little link and clicks unsubscribe.
Which brings up the whole concept of dark patterns in digital design.
Yeah.
Because the unsubscribe button is fundamentally a social contract. You signal that you want to opt out, and the system is supposed to honor your boundary.
Keyword being supposed to.
Exactly. But in practice, these systems are deliberately engineered to create friction.
The tiny font.
The tiny font, the convoluted menus that pop up asking why you're leaving, the multi-day processing windows.
Please allow up to 14 business days.
Right, like a computer needs 2 weeks to delete a row in a spreadsheet. These aren't design flaws. They are intentional hurdles built to preserve the company's marketing metrics.
So when he clicked that button, he fully expected the contract to be honored.
But the architecture of corporate marketing rarely surrenders a data point that easily.
So true. The system completely ignores his request. 1 week later, another email hits his inbox.
Let me guess.
Only 2 weeks until Safe Market at King's Cross opens.
And his internal reaction to this is so telling.
It's hilarious. He jokes that his first thought was, well, obviously I just didn't press the button hard enough.
Which is a funny observation, but it really highlights how we internalize these systemic tech failures.
We always assume user error first.
Right, rather than assuming corporate negligence.
Yeah.
They think, I must have done it wrong.
So he tries again. He clicks unsubscribe a second time. Another week passes. And the inevitable happens.
Safe Market opens at King's Cross in 1 week.
3 exclamation points.
This whole cycle is the exact definition of a digital microstress.
Yeah.
We're constantly forced to expend this low-level cognitive energy managing communications we never asked for in the first place.
And over time, having to filter out supermarket countdowns or algorithmic nudges from the actual truly important emails in our lives.
It degrades our attention span.
Totally. When the unsubscribe button, our only tool for enforcing a boundary, turns out to be a total placebo, the natural human response is to feel trapped.
And when we feel trapped by a faceless system, the secondary response is anger.
He actually explicitly mentions that anger. His very first instinct was to draft a furious, harsh email demanding to be taken off the list.
Which is what most of us do.
But then he pivots. Instead of fighting the mechanism, he decides to dissect it.
He wants to find the trick.
Right. He decides to figure out the internal logic of this automated campaign. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, this is the best part.
Instead of writing a complaint, he replies directly to the automated hype with his own manufactured enthusiasm.
He matches their energy.
He writes back to the spam address. I'm really looking forward to it. What do you need from me?
What's fascinating here is this psychological shift taking place.
Yeah, break that down.
By responding with this absurd, over-the-top enthusiasm, he is moving from a state of passive victimhood, where things are just being done to him, into a state of active play.
He's taken the steering wheel.
Exactly. Corporate systems and the customer service protocols that run them, they're built entirely on rigid, predictable scripts.
Right, flowcharts.
They have flowcharts to handle complaints or refund requests or technical issues, but they are fundamentally unequipped to process irrational human enthusiasm.
They have no protocol for joy.
None. So by accepting their false premise that this supermarket opening is a highly collaborative, thrilling community event, he essentially weaponizes their own narrative against them.
And that weaponization becomes so visible when an actual human representative finally enters the email chain.
Oh, Dan.
Enter Dan. A corporate rep named Dan replies to the speaker's offer of help with a perfectly canned defensive response.
Just textbook corporate speak.
Dan writes, "Hi, James. I've asked a colleague to take your request."
Dan is just trying to route this anomaly back into a standard operational bucket.
He wants him back on the flowchart, but the speaker refuses to be categorized. He fires back, leaning entirely into this new persona of a co-event planner.
It's so good.
He says, "Dan, what's the plan? I'm thinking fireworks, a bouncy castle."
It's a brilliant escalation because it forces the human operator to confront the sheer absurdity of their own marketing strategy.
Dan represents the immovable bureaucratic wall here.
His job is to enforce reality. So he replies, "I'm not sure what you mean. A store is opening, but there is no celebration."
He's trying to de-escalate.
Yeah, Dan is pointing out how mundane a store opening actually is. But the speaker traps him using the company's own automated emails as evidence.
Exactly. He points directly to the aggressive marketing. He writes back, "But what about the 3 weeks, 2 weeks emails? I'm just crazy excited."
He is holding Dan accountable for the emotional tone the company's bots established.
Dan, who's probably reading from some script for confused customers, simply replies, "Sorry to disappoint you."
And this is the exact moment the speaker introduces stakes into the game.
He manufactures a crisis.
He tells Dan that they should proceed with the celebration regardless. And then he claims he has already booked a bouncy castle.
But not just booked it, he adds the critical detail.
The deposit is non-refundable.
He literally tells the rep, "If we don't use it, we lose it, Dan."
Notice what he's done here. He has taken the burden of the interaction off himself and placed it entirely onto the corporate entity.
It's their problem now.
He's created a fictional financial liability and tied the customer service rep to it. And faced with an input that completely defies standard procedures, bureaucracies basically default to one specific maneuver.
Abdication of responsibility.
Exactly. Dan immediately tries to detach himself from the crisis. He replies, "Mr. Vich, I am not responsible for this."
But the speaker is totally orchestrating this interaction now, and he just does not let Dan retreat.
Nope.
He replies, "We can't play the blame game. Bottom line, this is on you and me."
He's forcing a partnership.
And then he pivots to a highly specific logistical question about the fake bouncy castle. He says, "Question, will you be there to ensure people take their shoes off?"
And at this point, the human-to-human interaction just collapses.
Dan taps out.
Dan realizes that engaging further will only draw him deeper into a scenario his training manual definitely does not cover.
So what does the company do?
They deploy the ultimate shield against consumer friction, the automated ticketing system.
They remove the human element entirely.
Yeah, Dan is gone.
The descent into the ticketing system is both maddening and hilarious. The speaker just starts receiving those completely soulless auto-generated emails.
We all know them.
Thank you for your email. Your case number is whatever.
But instead of giving up, he treats the ticketing system as an obstacle, keeping him from his close personal friend, Dan.
He replies to the case number emails, just trying to summon him back. He emails Dan.
And receives an automated case number.
He tries, Danny.
Another case number.
He realizes the system is just filing his attempts into a void. So in a final, desperate attempt to break the automation, he emails D-Dog.
E-Dog.
And remarkably, Dan breaks protocol.
A human steps back in.
Just long enough to deliver a blunt, definitive statement.
The store is open.
The store is open. It's the ultimate conversation killer. Dan taps out for good, and the marketing campaign technically concludes.
Now, this could easily be the end of the narrative right here.
It's a funny story. He annoyed the spammer. The end.
Right. But the speaker has a realization that really shifts the entire paradigm of how we handle digital intrusion.
He recognizes that the system SafeMarket used to harass him relies entirely on thoughtless automation.
And he realizes that automation isn't just some proprietary corporate tool.
It's something he can use himself.
Exactly.
Which leads to his ultimate counterattack. If SafeMarket intends to use bots to manage their communication, he decides to deploy a bot of his own.
Fight fire with fire.
He builds an autoresponder program specifically designed to target any incoming email from the SafeMarket domain.
And he essentially mirrors their corporate tone.
He scripts his bot to reply with, "Thank you for your email. Your case number is #0000001.
But the real ingenuity is in the code itself.
Yeah, explain the math here.
He writes a simple mathematical formula into his script so that every single time his bot sends a reply, the fake case number increases sequentially.
Case 2, case 3.
Exactly. To fully appreciate this, we need to look at the technical mechanics of what's happening. An autoresponder is not magic. It's a very basic script that sits on an email server.
Using frustration as a catalyst for humor strips the system of its power to dictate your mood.
It shifts you back from a passive victim to an active participant.
It reclaims the narrative. He started as a helpless recipient of unwanted data, experiencing the very real agony of a system that just refuses to let you go.
And instead of dropping to the floor and playing dead like he did as a kid,
he leaned into the absurdity. He orchestrated a 21,439 email symphony about a fictional bounty castle and a non-refundable deposit.
It's a master class in psychological judo.
And this raises a really critical question about where we are heading next.
Because the infrastructure in this story relied on relatively simple, rigid, automated systems.
A basic ticketing bot versus a basic autoresponder.
Right. But we are rapidly transitioning into an era where highly advanced generative AI is being deployed to handle corporate marketing and customer retention.
These new systems are designed to sound human.
To persuade, to dynamically adapt to resistance. And simultaneously, we as consumers are being equipped with our own personal AI agents to manage our inboxes.
To screen our communications, which sets the stage for something entirely unprecedented.
It really does. Think about the near future for a second. What happens when your personal AI inbox manager identifies a persistent corporate promotional AI?
And the two systems just begin arguing on your behalf.
Will the digital background of our lives be filled with millions of these invisible, highly sophisticated negotiations?
We could be moving toward a reality where complex AI systems are endlessly debating the logistics of fictional bounty castles.
Analyzing non-refundable deposits at a scale of millions of messages a second.
Entirely hidden from our view.
Just to preserve our right to an empty inbox.
That is a staggering thought to leave on. The idea that the future of digital privacy might just be our bots, exhausting their bots in an endless invisible comedy routine.
A wild thought.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. The next time you find yourself staring down a wall of corporate spam or a broken unsubscribe link, try shifting your framework.
Don't let the friction drain your energy.
Acknowledge the absurdity of the system, reclaim your cognitive space, and maybe consider asking them if they're bringing a bouncy castle. Using frustration as a catalyst for humor strips the system of its power to dictate your mood.
It shifts you back from a passive victim to an active participant.
It reclaims the narrative. He started as a helpless recipient of unwanted data, experiencing the very real agony of a system that just refuses to let you go.
And instead of dropping to the floor and playing dead like he did as a kid,
He leaned into the absurdity. He orchestrated a 21,439 email symphony about a fictional bounty castle and a non-refundable deposit.
it's a master class in psychological judo.
And this raises a really critical question about where we are heading next.
Because the infrastructure in this story relied on relatively simple, rigid, automated systems.
A basic ticketing bot versus a basic autoresponder.
Right. But we are rapidly transitioning into an era where highly advanced generative AI is being deployed to handle corporate marketing and customer retention,
These new systems are designed to sound human.
to persuade, to dynamically adapt to resistance. And simultaneously, we as consumers are being equipped with our own personal AI agents to manage our inboxes.
To screen our communications, which sets the stage for something entirely unprecedented.
It really does. Think about the near future for a second. What happens when your personal AI inbox manager identifies a persistent corporate promotional AI?
And the two systems just begin arguing on your behalf.
Will the digital background of our lives be filled with millions of these invisible, highly sophisticated negotiations?
We could be moving toward a reality where complex AI systems are endlessly debating the logistics of fictional bouncy castles,
Analyzing non-refundable deposits at a scale of millions of messages a second,
entirely hidden from our view.
just to preserve our right to an empty inbox.
That is a staggering thought to leave on. The idea that the future of digital privacy might just be our bots, exhausting their bots in an endless invisible comedy routine.
A wild thought.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. The next time you find yourself staring down a wall of corporate spam or a broken unsubscribe link, try shifting your framework.
Don't let the friction drain your energy.
Acknowledge the absurdity of the system, reclaim your cognitive space, and maybe consider asking them if they're bringing a bouncy castle. Using frustration as a catalyst for humor strips the system of its power to dictate your mood.
It shifts you back from a passive victim to an active participant.
It reclaims the narrative. He started as a helpless recipient of unwanted data, experiencing the very real agony of a system that just refuses to let you go.
And instead of dropping to the floor and playing dead like he did as a kid,
He leaned into the absurdity. He orchestrated a 21,439 email symphony about a fictional bounty castle and a non-refundable deposit.
it's a master class in psychological judo.
And this raises a really critical question about where we are heading next.
Because the infrastructure in this story relied on relatively simple, rigid, automated systems.
A basic ticketing bot versus a basic autoresponder.
Right. But we are rapidly transitioning into an era where highly advanced generative AI is being deployed to handle corporate marketing and customer retention,
These new systems are designed to sound human.
to persuade, to dynamically adapt to resistance. And simultaneously, we as consumers are being equipped with our own personal AI agents to manage